Hi, this is an example of a field service app that runs offline, and here we are with a service technician like Max Baker logging into this orangekloud app. So Max Baker would probably, like log in with his credentials, and he's up with two assigned appointments that have been previously downloaded on this device. So now Max Baker, initially when he starts, he would probably not be looking at any of these appointments. Typically what happens is when you check the settings, you have the options to actually set some default settings for the appointments, the details of the branch location, the project code, the non-project code, the travel item, as well as the downloads and uploads, like in terms of the number of downloads in the history. You can actually reset it, and you can also determine a range of how many appointments you're going to download forward as well as backward from today, and have the other options to filter items according to the default warehouse in case your your items are pretty voluminous, and the appointments that are only belonging to Max Baker, along with the option to upload the completed appointments and also upload paused appointments. So by enabling auto sync, the options to not manually upload and download happens, and you can also set an interval time for the auto sync. So some of these settings are actually done prior to the upload and downloads. So this particular app is typically an offline app. It runs offline. So the general modus operandi of working with such an app is that when you start logging in, the first thing you need to do is to download all the required master data onto the device. So this is a prerequisite. So what you're looking at is already downloaded appointments. And of course, you also can start the process of downloads, like if assuming that you're starting off for the day and you're not seeing any appointments on the dashboard, as you see 2 appointments here. But if you don't see any appointments, you have the option to actually click the manual sync and download option, and by clicking on that icon, the cloud icon, you have the options to choose the appointment items the items that you want to download. So you can either select all or just choose a few that probably would have been updated in the recent past. So generally the master records are the ones that generally don't change. So when the initial download of all the master records are done, typically the only thing that could be probably changed over the course of the day is the new appointments that come in that have been assigned in the interim. So now here is an example of me just downloading a few appointments, as well as downloading a few master records like the non-stock items and the equipments. But of course, you can also in the initial stage, when there's no master records on the device, you can actually select all. So I'm just going to, just for the sake of time, I'm just going to download just a couple of master records and the appointments in case there are any. So it takes typically less than a few seconds to less than a few minutes to get this downloaded. So I have my master records, no appointments, no new appointments already in place. So those 2 appointments that you already saw is still on the device. And this is typically how Max sets off for the day. And now he can actually go about choosing an appointment, to choosing a customer, which is, assigned to him. And here he's basically looking at a screen similar to the one that you see in Acumatica, where you see the appointment number, the status of the appointment, the customer, the description, and of course the scheduled start date and times, and the actual date and times for the appointment, along with the customer details, and the option to actually navigate using the existing GPS software that's already in your phone, and an option to also call the customer or email the customer. So all these options generally is typical of what you see on the Acumatica app. And along with that, Max has also got the options to, like tweak his appointment settings. So here I have something like customer order, external reference, medium, priority, and as well as a supervisor. And Max has got the options to also add new line types, like previously assigned to this is the backup. He has got the option to add more line types. I'll be looking into that in a couple of seconds. He's also got the option to additionally add staff and resource equipments, as well as keep and view track of logs, and of course also sum up the totals of the appointment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly start with the details option. I'm going to just add a line type. So I just click on the add, and I have different line types. So I choose, for example, an inventory item, and I can choose something that's already there. And of course I can do the other changes, like set the unit cost, and of course change the warehouse, change the quantity, and take notes, make it billable or non-billable, and of course add discounts. And if there is a target equipment associated, you can also change the target equipment. And of course, once done, Max has this particular line type in place. He also has the option to add attachments at line level. So he can actually click on that icon, that clip over there, which gives you the option to add either existing pictures or take new pictures from the camera. So I'm going to just skip that. And I'm actually looking at the new detail that was just added, the inventory item that was just added. And now Max can actually start his appointment. So typically what you could do is probably log the travel time. So by clicking on that action icon on the left, top left, the second one to the left, you have the option to actually start travel, record travel times, complete travel, and then of course start the appointment. So by clicking on the start appointment, the appointment is now in process. So you see that in process now, and the start times are recorded. So now Max has the option, like when you look at the details, he's got the you see that the labor travel has completed. He can start the particular service task. So in this case, it's backup. So he can just go into that. And again, the question of, like starting the task. So he can actually start the task. He's also got the options to pause and resume the tasks at various times. And of course, all this is being logged. And attach images. As I mentioned earlier, he's got the options to attach images, take pictures at line levels. So Max records all these information as he completes the task, and once completed, he can actually hit the complete button. So now the task is completed, and of course you can also take pictures. So I'm going to just, on this appointment, I'm just going to choose a very old picture, and of course Max has also got the option to generate a report by hitting that action icon over there. He's got the option to get a service report with a customer sign off. So this is a typical report that's in preview. He can get a customer sign off, and he could record this as a PDF file. And of course, this will be uploaded when the appointment is complete. So As you see, there are options for you to add additional resource equipments. There's options for additional staff. You can add additional staff. And of course, you can also add additional details like what I just mentioned. Now, if you look at your log, it shows you the travel log and the backup that was just completed. So once done, Max has got the option to pause this appointment in case there's some interims where he's got options to come back and add more service tasks or resource equipments along the way. So I'm just for the sake of time, I'm just going to complete this appointment. And now the appointment is completed, as you see on top, with one more appointment that's not started. The auto sync option is on. So if you see at the top right, there's 3 icons, and in fact a fourth one on the leftmost. That's the auto sync in work. So currently the appointment that has been completed is being uploaded, and of course on this same screen you also have the options to look at unassigned appointments that have not been assigned to any user. So you have the option to click on the unassigned appointment icon, and if there are, then you get a list of unassigned appointments. So these are some of the unassigned appointments which you could probably, if Max has given the user access rights, he could actually assign these appointments to himself or to somebody else in his team. And the orangekloud offline app has also got the options to add appointments from the device. So the next icon in the middle is the option to add appointments. So I'm just going to add a customer. So probably I'll just choose one of the customers, and I can actually give a description. So this is appointments that could be actually created in the interim when there's no internet connectivity. He's got the options to add these appointments from the device. So this is again the same as what we saw before when we saw appointments. So Max has got the options to again add details. So you can add details, he can add staff. So once he adds the details and assigns a staff, so I'll just do that, you will see the staff also being shown. So here I'm just going to add the inventory and probably just stop with that. So now you see that there is an inventory, and there's also a staff that's Max himself being assigned to this particular task. So when you go to the staff option, you see Max Baker as under the staff option. So that's the concept of like going through the entire process of servicing this appointment can be done. And of course you also have options to also check stock items. So this is just a view option, gives you a detail of the items in stock and the quantity. You also have the options to choose customers, the customer data, and assuming that you would like to choose a customer and see, like if it's along the way, there's options for you to actually go and service the customer. So you would like to see some history of this customer's appointments. So if the customer is not part of today's appointment in your list, then you'll have to download manually the history if there's a history of appointments associated with this customer. So currently I'm trying to download the last 6 appointments that are related to this customer. So this is the list of list of customer appointments for this particular customer, Amro Bank. And of course you can always like create appointments from the device and go and attend to this particular customer as well. Same goes with equipments. You have the options to choose equipments and preview a few things, like you can have the general details like what you see in Acumatica, and of course you can also see the components and warranties, and you could also if these equipments are not part of today's appointment, Then you'll have to manually download the information, so which means you need internet connectivity to download this information about the components and warranties related to this particular equipment. And of course, the same goes with the appointment history, where this equipment is not part of today's appointments, so you'll have to manually download the history of the last 6 appointments, if there are any. And likewise, you also have the the other option is to choose the staff. So having done this process with all the appointments that Max has probably just attended to complete, typically this ends the process of service technicians using the orangekloud app to actually service customers' appointments, which is tagged to the work order. So that's about it, folks. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this.